Hello and welcome to In Stitches. I've got a Bernina 1300 MDC Overlocker / Serger on the bench today. Still bandaged up here, still recovering from my hand surgery, so yeah, excuse the bandage on my left hand there. Now this machine has seized up, which I'm quite surprised about actually, because it's a modern machine. The customer said that, you know, she's not really sort of been using it too much. She's been oiling it, you know, in the areas that require it, but just completely locked up. I can't turn the hand wheel, but let's see if we can just quickly track down where this seizure's happening here. Now it's in for service, so I will service the machine as well, but I've gone through this. Oh, that's loose. Just, yeah, notice the door's loose there. That needs tightening up. Yeah, okay. So I've gone through, you know, sort of troubleshooting a seized machine before in a previous video. Trying to remember which one it is. I'll link it in the description down below. But just with a machine like this here, they're reasonably complicated. You know, being a serger, there's a lot of moving parts. There are some quick procedures you can carry out to try and track down the seizure, and that is by turning the wheel, and what we're doing is we're looking for any movement, and what the movement does is it sort of eliminates that from the equation, if you like. So I'm going to be just turning the hand wheel back and forward like that while we do this. And if we have a close look, you can see the needle bars moving, right? Just ever so slightly. And that's indicating to me that, you know, that needle bar is free. So the seizure is not in any of the bearings in the needle bar there. Okay. The other places it could be the blade. You know, this here could be seized, I guess, the shaft that drives it. There's movement there. That's a fairly good sign that the blade is not, or the mechanism that drives the blades to a certain extent anyway, aren't seized. Now the other things to check are the loopers. Now we've got a little bit more going on here than a standard overlocker. Your standard overlocker, at least a 4-thread, even a 3-thread, has this upper looper drive shaft here, with the upper looper pointing up this way here. And we've got our lower looper here. This one I'm touching the point of there. And so a 3 and a 4-thread overlocker would have those loopers. So this machine also, being a cover stitch compatible machine, has this extra looper here for the cover stitch mechanism, and you can also do chain stitching with it as well. So we've got 3 loopers on this one instead of your standard 2. If you're dealing with just a standard serger overlocker, you've only got these two here. Now if I'm moving the hand wheel back and forward again, and we can see the chain stitch looper here just moving ever so slightly. More than likely that's quite free. This looper here, we'll just have a quick look at that. I can see that moving as well. That's this one. That's the one here with the point just here onto my fingernail there. Moving there. And if we look at this looper here, we can also see a little bit of movement here. It's minuscule, but there is a little bit there. That movement might lead you to believe that this looper here is free, but there's also this little piece here, this little guide linkage here, that this shaft here travels through, and that could potentially be a binding point or a seizure, where the seizure is actually happening there. I'll get you in close, we'll have a close look at this. Now I'm moving the hand wheel again, back and forward. Now you can see that there is movement there, and the movement is actually this here. This whole bearing here is moving, and so the bearing actually is a shaft that goes back into the machine there. It's a pivot point there, and that's moving, right? So that's where the movement's coming from. But what you'll notice, I'll see if I can get you even closer, is that there's no movement between the shaft and this bearing here. Now the machine's moving a little bit here as well. I'll just try and stop that. You might be able to see a little bit of movement here of this bearing here. But you'll notice that it's moving in complete unison with the shaft that it's going through it. This shaft here. And that tells you that the shaft there is seized in that bearing there. And I just about guarantee if I work away on that bearing, maybe just apply a small amount of heat and a little bit of penetrating oil, that might free up. So let's try that. First of all, we'll get some penetrating oil on there. Just give that a quick spray there. Okay, and we can work away at that. Now, I don't want to put too much force on here because I don't want to break anything. But it is locked solid. I'm trying to hold the machine here. Yep, so there you can see the two moving in unison there. Just doing it a little bit quicker. This is the driver here for the upper looper, and we can also see that moving. Right, so the drive shaft for the upper looper is not seized, but the fact that that's moving, but that shaft in that bearing is not, I would say fairly sure that this is where the seizure is here. Okay, so still not unbinding there. So let's get a little bit of heat on. I don't want to put too much on there. Now I've got this little, it's a hot air rework station, so for you know, doing surface mount soldering and things like that, but pretty good for this sort of thing. We've got temperature control here. This is in degrees Celsius here, so if I lift the handle, we've got 300 degrees. That's it climbing there. I'll just bring it down to 300, say, and I'll just bring the fan back a little bit. I don't really want to apply too much heat, but we'll just get it fairly close there. Okay, I just want to be careful I don't melt any plastics. So really, I'm putting a little bit of pressure on the hand wheel here, back and forward, like I did before, just so that I can feel when that starts to free up. It's not overly warm here today, so this could take a little bit of heating. Don't want to go too far with it, to overheat it. I just stopped there for a second just to feel how hot that was getting, this bearing here. It was getting reasonably warm, but not overly hot. So heating that bearing has the effect of expanding the metal, so that dark metal there will expand and should expand faster than the shaft that's running through it, because I'm concentrating the heat on it. Gee, yeah, that's really locked solid. I'll just keep working away at this and do a jump cut so that you don't have to sit here watching me work away at this. This is taking a lot more heat than I thought it would, and it's not budging. So I think we have to try and remove these parts here. Just thinking if I can remove this looper bearing here and this little pivot hinge here, I might be able to extract the shaft, you know, this whole piece maybe. Okay, so I'll probably just get away with taking the bottom off for a start. I'll just trim these threads off here. Just remove these threads here. Just the one screw here. Comes off. These are a little bit fragile, so it's quite a good idea to remove those before you go tipping the machine onto its back to get the bottom off it. 4 screws will it be? Get the bottom off. Not sure whether I need to take the sides off at this point. Just those four there. All the same length by the look of that. And will that come off? Yes. Okay, so bottom cover comes off fairly easily there. Can I get, yes, so I can get to the little pivot pin there. There's the looper drive there. So that's there's a little Allen key grub screw there that will be holding that little pin in there. So let's try and remove that. Yeah, 1.5 mil. Yeah, I'm surprised that heat didn't deal with it actually. Right, just see if I get that one there done there. This will also prove that it's that shaft that's seized. If I can get this out, we should be able to turn the machine. Let's see if I can get that pin out. Yep, there we go. With that pin, just like that. Little pin there. Now, it won't upset the timing, but now if I can turn the machine, I know that that shaft there is seized, and yes, I can, look at that. Okay, so it's definitely that shaft, definitely that shaft. Now, can I get that out? Of course, I can turn the machine now, so that gets this looper out of the way, and I'm kind of hoping that we can just move this, pull this whole caboodle out. Just grub screw down in here, looks like 2mm. And I can't get my Allen key into it because it's too long. You know, might be able to. There we go. Just managed to get the Allen key into it. And I can loosen that. There we go. I'll just see whether that will allow me to pull this out. Maybe there's another grub screw. I'm not too sure. Let's have a look. Yeah, there might be another grub screw this side here. That's going to be... Is that going to be awkward? Let me see. Now, is it a grub screw? I can feel something there. Yeah, so I'll jump cut here as well. I just finding it a bit awkward to get in there. Okay, I've managed to get this screw, the Allen key into the grub screw there, and there we go. It's partially loosened there, I think. Problem is, I don't think I can get the Allen key out now in that position. I might have to take some of this off here. So let's start by removing to remove this again. A shorter Allen key could be quite handy there, but I do need to take all this off anyway as part of the service. I'll just take these two needles here out. Just loosen those there. These needles. And whip this plate off here. Okay. Take that shank off. And that plate come away. And then swing that blade out of the way. But I think this here is actually still in my way there. Is that part of the, could be part of the holder. I can see a screw on the back of it there. But can I get to that without taking the holder off? I might be able to. You can just see, you might just be able to see the screw down between the feed dog teeth there. That one there. If I just loosen that, yeah, that'll give me enough leeway there, I think, to get that Allen key in there. Just see if I can get that in there now. There. Here we go. Is that loose? Will that come? Yes. Okay. That's the grub screw there that I was just getting to, and that's the one I did to start with, and that holds that there. Now, I think that if I get this part in the vise, I might be able to just gently work away with a little bit of twisting force here, because we've got a flat surface here. Might be able to just ease that, and maybe with a little bit of heat as well. Now I don't want to be damaging any of these parts, but I thought maybe if I could clamp that in there like that, not too tight, I don't need to tighten that too much, I might be able to just ease this around here, put this here on it. Yep, so I've turned it there, okay, and there we go, it's starting to free already, nice and free. So that actually didn't take too much force at all. And take that out of here, there we go, freed up there. Now the shaft has a small amount of damage, I would say, where that seizures happened there. So that needs cleaning up. I'll go ahead and clean that up. In fact, you know, by rights, the shaft probably needs replacing. But in the meantime, I'll put the machine back together and we'll be able to see that it's nice and freed up there now. Okay, so assembly is basically the reverse procedure of the disassembly. So we'll just pop that back onto that shaft there. Ah, it's pushing through. It's pushing through. So I need to hold that while I attach it. Okay, I've got the machine up on its end here because I've got a screwdriver up on the back stopping this from pushing back here, just so that I can get that back on. Okay, it's back on there. Just turn that around. Yep, there we go. I'll just turn that around there, and now I can tighten up those grub screws there. Yeah, a slightly shorter Allen key would be handy. I don't think I have one right now. I could shorten this one, but I don't want to go grinding it. Oh, there's a little bit of play there. Now I don't want, see that pulling in and out there is a little bit of play. That's just that the shaft needs to be held tighter while I do the screw up. I'll come back when I've got that. Oh, here we go. I've actually got it there. If I just, with my screwdriver, push that shaft from the back there. It's a little bit awkward, this. Push that there. And tighten. And let's see if we've got play there. Yeah, got even more now. Okay, I'll come back when I've got the play out of this and I've got that screw tight. It's a bit difficult to do from behind the camera. The door wants to close and cover the camera. So I'm trying to do this whilst opening that door. I'm just tightening that screw there. Okay, now let's see. Do we have any play? No play there. Okay, that's good. All right, tighten that screw and then I can do the other screw. I'll tip the machine back over because I don't have to hold that shaft any longer. Okay, I've got the Allen key in there and tightening that grub screw there. So that's the two grub screws tightened. You can see there the shaft's nice and free. While I'm here, I'll put some oil on that shaft. Okay, and if you own a serger, that point is a very important point to oil. It's a high wear point. Now just have to put the pin back in. We'll do that from underneath. I think that's a little bit easier there. Now just get that back down there. I'll just get my tweezers there, pretty handy. And we might need to just move the machine up a little bit there. I might not need the tweezers, should be able to get it by hand here. Just get that shaft there, that pivot back down to there, like that, and then tighten with the 1.5mm Allen key there, just like that. And if I tip it back up, okay, look at that, fixed, nice and free. No need to check timing. The timing's not been affected. There's no need to check the clearance between the two upper and the lower looper here, because the clearance has not been affected. So that's it, yeah, fixed. So yep, I'll go ahead and service the machine and put it all back together and yeah, get it back to the customer. But I thought you'd quite like to see that process of tracking down a seizure, and you know, on a reasonably modern Bernina here. Just shows you that oiling that area there is very important, and also this pivot point down the bottom here, very important on any overlocker or serger. And of course, if you get your machine serviced regularly, it shouldn't be a problem. But yep, that's it for this one. I hope you found that interesting and helpful. Thank you very much, as always, to my patrons. Thank you very much for your support, and thank you very much for watching. We'll catch you in the next one.